I don't like living in this mess we've created. Will our relics be in the form of single-use, prepackaged vacuum-sealed trinkets of our consumer-driven, consumer-herded society? No, we are conditioned through television programming that we are supposed to express ourselves from what is to be consumed with every commercial break. The dare to be drug-free was, in retrospect, free drug advertisement. Demonizing anything in the media has the same undesired effect. A prime example being our current president of the United States. Yes, even him. Enacting change is the purest form of protest. Instead of complaining about a situation, we must find solutions to this problem. Solutions to any problem are more valuable than the observation of the problem. We are all living in a shitty situation, but it is what we do with the situation that truly shapes the character of our person. When will we stop tearing down trees to wipe our ass?
By the year 2050, the amount of plastic waste in the ocean is going to weigh more than the amount of fish in the ocean. So recently, we found in the late 2000s the beginning of the legal production of hemp. And I think around 1957, due to some legislative changes, that's when hemp cultivation was prohibited. So in the last couple of years, we've seen a resurgence of hemp production.
When the 2018 Farm Bill passes, it will bring federal legalization of hemp by removing it from the Controlled Substances Act. In turn, the other roadblock that we have had has been the investment in the infrastructure that we need to get to full commercial activity. Federal banking has been illegal for hemp, as well as other issues with farmers being able to have crop insurance. And in particular, the decortication facilities that are required in order to produce the fiber from the hemp are extremely expensive. And the investment money just hasn't been there until they knew that the supply chain would be there to support it. So now that we're on the cusp of federal legislation, we expect that bottleneck of the infrastructure to start to be resolved.
The real impact in another 5 or 10 years is going to be when the seed and stock side of the industry starts really competing with the CBD side and the flower side. There is projected to be more stable long-term global use of hemp as a food source. That makes sense, especially when we start thinking about resource conservation. Again, we're running out of land, water. Most crops are very hungry and thirsty. So when you have a plant that has such high protein and fat and nutritional content, omega-3 fatty acids, it makes logical sense that that plant is going to start pushing its way into one of the top produced plants in the world. So as that comes online, then I think there's going to be a lot more enthusiasm for seed production, but that's oils and hemp hearts and hemp protein flour. And then when we start talking about the stock side of it, what I'm seeing right now is a huge push for building materials. So we're talking about hempcretes and pressed fiber boards that could replace potentially plywood. So the properties for building with hemp material is incredible. It's flame resistant, it's antifungal, and hempcrete in particular still pulls carbon from the atmosphere as it's curing, and that can take up to 5 to 7 years. I don't know of any other component that we use to build with that is actually carbon sequestering for that amount of time. So there's incredible opportunities, and we still haven't even talked about plastics or paper.
I think with industrial hemp, the way to look at it globally, there's about 9 subsectors, everything from personal care, furniture, fabric and textiles and linens, and also agriculture, of course, plastic materials. And so I think one of the things happening in the sector is consumers are beginning to appreciate the value of hemp products. And so if you go into anybody's house and think of all the things that we consume, things that we purchase, most of those could be replaced by hemp products. And again, it could be cosmetic, it could be stuff you sprinkle on your cereal, it could be the chairs that we sit in, it could be the bicycle frame that I use to ride home to the university. Increasingly, we're finding more interest not just in the CBD products that derive from hemp, but we're looking at construction materials such as hempcrete, insulation, and wood that can be used for constructing houses.
When you look at the explosion of the middle class in parts of the world, like specifically India and China, and even here in America, our incessant demand for stuff is pretty insatiable. And we just can't simply continue depleting resources, particularly when it comes to trees, the way we do now. So it's not that I feel like hemp is going to replace a lot of products, but it's going to make existing products better, stronger, and more sustainable. So that impact alone is going to be tremendous. The impact for the family farm in making young people excited about staying on the family farm is something that hemp has to offer that other crops just simply don't at this point. And I think that that's really important. It's part of our heritage and part of our culture that needs to be preserved. And with the prices of corn and soy and other traditional crops sort of plummeting and faltering, hemp is a very good alternative for those farmers. Then we have the economic impact of the manufacturing jobs that can be created by manufacturing hemp products here in the United States. And that alone will have its own impact. And then when you start looking at the impact on the environment, hemp is less water intensive than a lot of other crops. It doesn't require the same herbicides and pesticides to be successful as other crops. So we can reduce our use of those toxic chemicals while at the same time using hemp to create better soil health.
There has long been the opportunity for other industries to use political control or maneuvering or financing to impede one industry and to promote another industry. I think Henry Ford's relationship with DuPont was probably an interesting place to start having that conversation. I do also think that there was a lot of opportunities for other agricultural commodities to also compete with industrial hemp. When we talk about cotton or tobacco, it has a definite influence on how industrial hemp came to be prevented from being grown by farmers, and then even today how we're trying to bring industrial hemp and cannabis back to the United States, both through the agricultural opportunities, through food, through botanical applications and nutraceuticals. And for me, the most exciting aspect is that industrial side of it. There's quite a few industries that are definitely going to be impacted by a large production of American grown hemp.
So at the moment, there's several corporations that hold patents over certain processes for producing industrial hemp. As these expire, it's going to open up, again, a whole arena of production where people could be free to develop their own kinds of products and their own kinds of manufacturing processes. But at the same time, there probably may be a couple other capitalist-minded ventures ready to take up those patents again. And so I think my job is to figure out what can we do to ensure that the industrial hemp sector works better for more people, and that we don't just have a conglomeration or a consolidation of a few organizations that control the patent of certain manufacturing processes.
When they say that you can make 25,000 different products out of hemp, it sounds like a gross exaggeration, but when you really look at it, it's not. It literally can have that kind of impact on our world.
I don't think anybody thought it was going to be a billion-dollar industry by 2020. That's crazy, and that's just CBD. It's none of the other opportunities or applications that come along with industrial hemp. Potential's astronomical.